Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or wherever you may joining me from. Now, I know you all have missed me terribly. I know. Okay, maybe not. But happy 2025. I know it might be a little bit late, but we still have to celebrate that we made it to another amazing year, and also too that this year is going to be pretty amazing. So, in case you don't know who I am, you're probably on my page right now. I'm Trish Lindo, and I'm the host of Too Ambitious. Now, if you've never watched this show before, this is a live series that celebrates Black women and women of color founders who are changing the world, and they are changing the game. They're innovative, they are resilient, they are, of course, ambitious, right? So today I'm super happy because I have another phenomenal woman on the show. And I want you guys to show her so much love because guess what? She's the first guest for season 2 of Too Ambitious. So, hey, right? So, you got to show us some love in the comments. I want to see all the emojis light up. But first, let me tell you a little bit about this extraordinary woman. Joining me today is Dr. Farah Laurent. She is the CEO founder of Farah Laurent International Nurse Coach. She's a phenomenal woman who's helped over 100 new nurses secure their dream jobs, even if they've recently graduated from nursing school, right? Now, Dr. Farah has a master's degree in nursing education and 6 certifications. That's right, people, 6. This Canadian native is also a board certified nurse executive, a doctor of nursing practice, and an emergency department educator and leader. Now, she has so many accolades that probably would have taken up most of the show. So I'm definitely going to let share. I'm going to let her tell some of her more accolades because there's a lot. But join me in welcoming the great Dr. Farah Laurent. Welcome. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't. You got.
You're on mute.
You're
Oh my
on
God.
mute.
Thank you so much for having me. Such a pleasure. I was
Of
just saying how
course.
funny you are. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity and so happy
Hey.
to be here and have this discussion. Thank you and happy
Yes.
New Year.
Yes. I'm so happy that you're here, Dr. Farah. I mean, you are one of the most amazing women on LinkedIn. That's how we connected. LinkedIn brought us together, you know?
Yes.
So, I wanted to bring you on the show because I think the work that you're doing is super important, helping nurses and, having these conversations for a lot of people who probably wouldn't be able to have the access that they normally have. And I think
Mhm.
that anytime you come across someone like you who is making a way for others, they need to be celebrated. So thank you first and foremost for all the work that you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for the shout out. I appreciate it. It
Yeah.
means a lot to be, recognized because I've been on LinkedIn for like 3, 4 years, but I
Yeah.
feel now I'm starting to meet a lot more people on LinkedIn,
Right.
particularly even outside the nursing industry, because I truly believe that we should all collaborate and learn from different industries. So
Yes.
thank you again. Yes.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage a little bit. You've called yourself a certified badass, okay? Which I absolutely love. And you're my first certified badass on the show. So this is amazing. So tell us a little bit more in your own words, the work that you do.
Yeah. Sure. So the reason I said that is because I was 6 times board certified and I was doing my website and I'm like, let me, do something fun because a lot of nurses are obviously very humble. We're all
Yeah.
humble.
Yeah.
However, I feel like they don't like to self promote a lot. So when I started my nurse career coach business, I said, well, nurses need to self promote and articulate their value, especially if they're trying to go for these jobs, whether
Right.
they're nursing students or nurse executives or trying to get into leadership. They need to just step into their power more, own their fabulousness, and be able to like be the badass nurses that they are. Cause like we're literally saving people's lives. So I was like, I'm gonna call myself a
Oh.
certified badass. Like, why not? To really
Mhm.
help these nurses because when I first started, I thought it was going to be a lot of technical work, like, okay, I'm doing your resume, doing your cover. But a lot of the work was actually helping them with their mindset and like
Yes.
forming their confidence. Like, even nurses that were like in the game for like 10, 20 years, they still struggle with that confidence and that self-esteem and really articulating their value. And they're like, well, I don't want to brag about myself. And I'm like, no,
No.
brag about yourself. Yeah, you should, because you're fabulous. So that's
Yes.
kind of how it came about. But really, the backstory is when I was a nursing student, this was in Canada, I had a clinical instructor who was not the most supportive, even though I had
Mm.
one really good one. But, we
Yeah.
always have one that's like not that
Right.
supportive.
Right.
And she was like, well, what type of nurse do you want to be? I'm like, well, I want to be an emergency nurse because I used to love watching life trauma in the ER. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's the type of nurse I want to be. So she was like, Farah, you'll never be an emergency nurse. You're too unorganized and you should go to med surg. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, this lady's like crushing my dreams. And then I was like,
Yeah.
who's this lady? I was like, forget her. I'm going to follow my gut and pursue emergency medicine. And I'm so glad I did. That's what I did. I got hired as a nursing student before I even took my licensing boards in Canada. And that was like unheard of 20 years ago. So that's the story that I kind of tell nursing students today and new grads. And I'm pretty much what I needed back then today for
Yeah.
these new nurses and the new graduate nurses. So that's why I chose to do the career coaching for specifically for nurses who are kind of new in the game. Yeah.
Right. Which I absolutely admire you for doing that. And, one of the things too, and I'm sure, these nurses probably agree with is just your never ending energy, and this determination to be exceptional. Tell me who or what inspired you to take this nursing path, you know?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I talk a lot about like personal branding, especially in the last like year or two. I've been talking a lot about that, and I'm sure you have conversations about that, and it's like a big buzzword. And a lot of people that meet me, especially in person, typically describe me, like you said, like full of energy, like always happy and stuff. And actually, my name means happiness.
Ah,
Sarah actually means happiness. So
yeah.
from a young age, yeah, I've always been kind of like full of energy. And, actually, my dad, he jokes. And when I call home in Canada, because I'm always calling home to check
Right.
on them, and he's like, oh, it's the Speaker of the House that's
Right.
calling.
Right.
So from a young age, I would always be telling stories and like very animated and just like
Ah,
so that's kind of where I get, I guess, my tenacity. And like when somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, hey, let me try to figure out how I
yeah.
can do it, because that's kind of the spirit that I've always had growing up. And then being a first gen immigrant, we immigrated to Canada when I was 9.
Okay.
I feel like that's another kind of fuel that like
Yeah.
made me even more determined to be successful, because I
Yeah.
saw my parents had to, leave where we were to try
Right.
to, a better life in Canada and whatever, even
Right.
though we had a pretty good life where we were, but,
Yeah.
just for more opportunities. And I was like, well, you know, there's no other way but success. So that's kind of like the spirit that I've always had, and
Right.
just a very positive spirit, and also like full of faith, because I really believe when
Yes.
you have faith and direction, you're more grounded, and
Yes.
you have purpose. You're able to do more of the impact in the work, and then your perspective is just different.
Yeah.
It's more positive perspective, no matter kind of what happens. So that's kind of what I've always had. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's almost nothing you can do without faith, right?
Mhm.
And hope, obviously.
Yes.
So you cut your teeth in the emergency room department. Which every time I think of emergency room, I think of like, Grey's Anatomy or any of those doctor shows. Tell
Yeah.
me what, yeah, right? Like, tell
Yeah.
me what that was like and what did you learn from that experience being in emergency rooms, saving lives and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So honestly, when I think about it, I like literally get chills, because like when I used to watch that show, Trauma Life in the ER, I was like, that's the type of nurse I want to be. I love that environment. It's fast paced. There's like always something going on. And I think I have like truly like undiagnosed ADHD, because I can't sit down. I'm like all over the place. I'm like, this is
Right.
the perfect environment for me. like always running around doing things.
Yeah,
So, but my first real experience was I was a nursing student and they called me in. It was a pretty traumatic, something had happened and they called me in there to help. And I was like, this is what I want to do.
yeah,
Um, because I always stayed calm, the type of personality that I have, because the ER is not for everybody. But I
right,
always stayed calm and I quickly connected with people. That's like a big, I think, superpower that I have.
right,
I think you connect well with people as well, obviously, with this podcast. But it's like a certain skill that nurses have, right? Because
right.
especially in emergencies, like people are scared, vulnerable, anxious, or screaming, whatever. You have to be able to be calm and then like handle the situation.
Yep,
So I feel like it's made me a better nurse when I went on to education and leadership.
yeah,
And it helped me also like be better at emotional intelligence in my own life, even though I'm still, developing that muscle of
right,
emotional intelligence. And then
right.
it's made me more resilient
Yeah,
and put things in perspective again to like see what people are going through. And I always say, like, it's not that serious. Like, everything is figure outable.
true.
Nobody's dying. So, like, relax. So, I
Right.
have that laid back attitude because I've seen so much trauma and like so literally like I used to work in level one trauma centers. Like I worked in Detroit, Michigan.
Mhm.
There was like gunshots and crazy things happening. So
Is
just
that
the
what
ability
they sorry, I
to
mean, is that what they mean by level 1? What does level 1 mean?
level one trauma in the emergency room is like the highest level of emergency care, that they have like all the services possible.
Oh,
So sometimes when you go to an emergency room, they number one may not be a trauma center. There's different levels. And then if you need to go to a trauma center, they would transfer you there because they might not have all the services to take care of you.
okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So for example, in Detroit, Michigan, it was called Detroit Receiving. It was the first trauma center in Michigan. Um, and the way they set it up was super cool. Like they actually had the OR on the same floor as the ER. So you would like just drop the patient off right there.
Yeah,
Cause when we would transport patients, it was very unstable in the elevators and stuff. So the way they had it set up was super cool. So yeah, level one is like the highest level. And that's where I learned to be a badass ER nurse. Like I learned in Canada,
yeah,
but I felt like Detroit Receiving was really where I really became an exceptional ER nurse and then moved to New York after that and did travel nursing and stuff like that. So I think it just helped me in all aspects,
yeah.
my career and life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned New York and you're repping Brooklyn with the hat
Yeah.
too, you
Yes.
know? So you're like so you're Canadian, but you're a New Yorker at core, right? You know?
Yeah, I moved in my mid-20s over there to pursue travel nursing. And that was probably one of the best decisions I made because
Why?
I,
Yeah.
I grew up in a small city in Canada. Actually, it was right across Detroit, Michigan, the border city.
Okay.
And people were like, "Are you sure you want to go over there? Like, are you sure you want to move and like leave your family?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready.
It's
I'm
New
ready."
York.
I'm like, "It's New York," and they're like, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out of here." So I
Yeah.
just left. But
Yeah.
it was an adjustment, like being Canadian, that whole like big city culture, and like people move quickly.
Yeah.
The way they think, it just helped me actually just expand my, my perspective, my horizons, and like I move a lot quickly now, more than I would have for like literal in the literal sense, and also in like the way I do things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in New York, it's kind of a must. You either move fast or get out the way. Or get run over. So yeah, there is that. You know. So tell me a little bit about how you work with your nursing clients. What
Yeah.
can they expect from you when they get you as a coach and as the perfect advocate for them?
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of people may not understand what a nurse career coach is. I mean, these days there's a lot of career strategists in general,
Right.
but for what I do, and a lot more nurses are having this title of nurse career coach. It's basically a career strategist, like helping guide them along their career, but mainly helping them with clarity. Number one,
Right.
because a lot
Got
of
it.
new nurses are not sure like
Yeah.
what direction to go into. And I always tell them that they don't necessarily have to start in the hospital because the public view of nurses is like, oh, like nurses typically work in hospitals,
Yeah.
but you don't have to. So one of my biggest things is to, with my platform as well on LinkedIn and my LinkedIn live show and podcast, The Nursing Dose, is to really show nurses the opportunities that they have these days, that they
Right.
don't necessarily have to start in a hospital. So
Right.
we start with clarity, and then really um, assessing their skill set, what they currently have in terms of like interview skills, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And then getting them prepared for the job search. And it's a lot of them really just apply and sit back,
Yeah.
and they're not really proactive.
Right.
So I just teach them how to be more proactive, how to build their personal brand, and how to interact with basically nurse recruiters on LinkedIn, how to be active on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
just basically unconventional strategies
Right.
that they don't typically learn. Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I have your website up and,
Thank you.
yeah, full of information for any nurses that are out there. You only work with nurses, right?
Yeah, I only work with nurses, and I've worked with experienced nurses to get them into leadership um, positions, because I've held director roles and
Okay.
associate dean roles, and also into education. But really, the core clientele that I serve
Mhm.
are the new nurses, and that's truly who I'm more passionate about helping,
Yeah.
because they need the most help. So yeah, and I
Yeah.
have a lot of testimonials.
Yes, you do. I've seen it here. I mean, people are saying, "She truly helped me find the confidence I needed to become a successful interviewer. We had weekly check-ins and mock interviews to prepare." That is gold. I love it. You
Thank
know?
you.
Way
And
to
honestly, a lot of the thread that most of my clients will always say is that it increased their confidence,
Yeah.
and they kind of transform the way they think,
Yeah.
down to like what they wear. Like they
Okay.
know me. I tell them like, do not wear black or navy blue or gray to an interview. And then they
Right.
start laughing, and I'm like, no, you're not wearing that. Like you literally have to stand out
Yes.
in what you wear and how you communicate and how you present yourself. Because honestly, even if you're not a nurse, we know that most people get the job when they're
Yeah.
most confident, and then when they
Yes.
articulate what it is that they do, so that they could fit the job description.
Yeah, absolutely. And people love you. I mean, I love all these testimonials. It's amazing. So, with
Thank
all these testimonials, is that why you decided to have your conference, your first conference, Nurses Making Money Moves? I want to hear all about this because, first of all, I love the name. So,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
Hmm.
So, one tidbit too that makes me different than a lot of these other nurse career coaches
Hmm.
is I also help them get into specialty areas. So for those who don't know, um, it's very hard for some new nurses to get into, say, labor and delivery, the
Got
emergency
it.
room, the ICU, the NICU, neonatal
Right.
areas. But I specifically help them get to those areas. So that's kind of
Got
like
it.
the big differentiator. But the conference, I'm so excited about it. The reason it's actually based off the book. The reason
Yeah.
Nurses Making Money Moves right here. So I wrote a book in 2023. I was
Hmm.
speaking at a conference, and I thought, I really want to bring something to this conference where nurses can have, and it can be a step-by-step guide on literally just how to start a business and how to register like an LLC. So I wrote this book, which is a workbook.
Right.
And then for like a year or two, I was like, I really would love to have an event or a conference, but it's gonna take so much time to plan. I don't know if I should do it. And then finally, like mid-December of 2024, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it and follow
Yeah.
my gut and start this conference. So here it is. It's going to be March 8th in
Yes.
Tampa,
In
the
Tampa.
Nurses
Okay.
and Money Moves Conference.
Okay.
And y'all, okay, so this is my website. So I excuse me for the the messed up graphic, because that's me doing
Doing it all yourself.
stuff because
Doing it
my
all
web
yourself.
developer was not available. Okay, so
Right.
but
Right.
the most important information is there. March 8th,
Yes.
Saturday. And basically, the essence of this is it's for any nurse that wants to level up their career or their business. And it's going to bring in the room nursing students to nurse execs to non-nursing professionals who are
Okay.
in the speaking game,
Oh.
personal branding space. Like I have a stylist who's coming from
Ooh, love that.
she'll be speaking about, how important image is and personal branding for your career and for your business. Yeah,
Yes.
so I have like other female professionals and business owners, and I
Okay.
want to like merge the two because nursing is like traditionally always just has nurses as speakers. So
Right.
I want to like shatter that old narrative and like mix people up together so we can
Right.
and
That's a
grow.
great idea.
It's on International Women's Day.
Oh, so smart. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That was really, really smart. You know, I mean, such an opportunity for the nurses that are out there. This event, this is the first time you're doing it, correct?
Yes, the very first.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you're probably going to expand, globally too at some point, because why not? But
Yeah.
in this event, what are you hoping that people will take away from it, from this, conference?
Yeah. So, I would say so the theme of the conference is network, visibility, and impact. So I was very strategic about that
Yeah.
because I want them to get out of it. Number one, I want to change their perspective,
Right.
inspire them to take action,
Yeah.
meet other nurses that are like crushing it in the business game or in their career
Right.
so that you can make those connections and potentially have partnerships or collaborations working on projects or whatever.
Right.
And then the second part, visibility, I want them to learn that they have to be visible in 2025 and
Yeah.
beyond
Yes.
because whatever impact you're trying to make or whatever purpose you have, whether you have a nonprofit or you want to start a business or you're trying to grow your career as a nurse,
Right.
you need to be visible both in person and online. And you need to create that digital presence.
You do.
Yeah. And that's really the main thing. And then I want them
Mhm.
to take actionable things they learn from the conference and actually implement it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I think that's actually one of the things that, really has drawn me to, why this conference is going to be incredible for the nurses that attend, is because, like you said, they don't really get a chance to sort of realize that they kind of need to show up. How
Yeah.
you show up and build your personal brand is more than the actual job. It's
Yeah.
all these other things. So I think these are tools that they can use not only in their career, but beyond their careers as well, you know? So I
And for
think
me, yeah, and for me, another reason is I regret early on in my career not networking enough. And I
mm,
realized that because I didn't know what a personal brand was and I didn't really manage my personal brand,
right.
it actually hurt me and like stunted my growth in my career. So
Okay.
even though I had all these advanced degrees and certifications,
Yes.
right, if you're not perceived a certain way, you may not get certain opportunities. So
Right.
that's what I want even nursing students to realize that
Mhm.
they start networking early and building that personal brand and
Yes.
not to attach it too much to who they work for,
Right.
meaning the organization.
Yeah.
They need to separate themselves so that they can pivot anytime, whether they want to start a
Yep.
side hustle, start a consulting or speaking gig, so that people know them and they're more visible. Because I've gotten laid off, and I share this openly like 3 times in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, and really, personal branding is what helps. It's what's helped me like put this conference
Yeah.
together. Like
Yeah.
literally, I secured all the speakers within 2 weeks because of relationship
Wow.
building and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and relationships is key. They will definitely carry you much further than most jobs. So, kudos to you for that. Claudia Garcia is saying, "Yay, I'll be there."
Yeah.
So, you've got a community of people who are ready to show up for you. So this is so exciting. How does it feel, Dr. Farah, to Yes, that's you, Dr.
You can
Farah.
call me
Um,
Farah.
how does it feel to know that this conference that you're putting together are going to have such a long-term impact on so many nurses that are out there? How does that feel?
I mean, honestly, to be quite honest, before I decided to go all in and like follow my gut,
Yeah.
I was feeling some kind of way, a little bit in my emotions, like, and I actually was getting a bit teary. And then when I secured the keynote, like something came over me, and I literally was like brought to tears when I secured the keynote because I was thinking in my head like, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
And the keynote is Precious L. Williams. And for those who don't know her, like just
Oh,
look,
yeah, I know Precious.
Precious, like she is a
Yeah,
powerhouse
she
and she's everywhere, like speaking all over. We met in
is.
actually New Jersey at a small business conference.
Yeah.
Um, but it just means the world to me because I just want nurses to be able to not just make more money, but to be happy in what it is
Right.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Because we as nurses always give so much to others, whether it's our family or patients, as moms, as women, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I was so tied to the making it on in March for
Yeah.
International Women's Day and also Women's
Smart.
History Month,
Yes.
because I want nurses to put themselves first and take care of themselves and build wealth and
Yep.
normalize talking about money and not gatekeep anymore. Like a lot of people gatekeep information.
Yeah.
I want this to be a place where people share information, grow, and celebrate each other. And even if you're not a nurse, you can come because we learn
Yep.
from other industries. If you're in the tech space, whatever it is, you're welcome to come because it's all about empowerment and celebrating women that are successful and
Yeah.
growing and personal development. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Love it. I love it. I'm excited for you, and I cannot wait
Thank you.
to, hear how it all goes. And I know that you've got so many people who are excited to attend. My final question to you, Dr. Farah,
Mhm.
is: do you consider yourself ambitious?
Of course, too ambitious.
Too ambitious. Yes.
Absolutely. And I think, society and family members and friends, like they'll always say, like, oh, you're doing too much, or you're doing this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, to each their own. Like,
Yeah.
and there's different seasons,
Yeah.
so as long as whoever, if you're out there and you're feeling like you want to be ambitious, like go for it, do your thing. Don't listen to people trying to, put some negativity in your life. Just
Yeah.
do all the things. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Okay.
Amen to that. Amen to that. You know what? Get that on a shirt because that is that you are preaching right there, you know, because those are facts, and I appreciate
Yeah,
you for saying that.
seriously, because even when I went to get my doctorate, my mom was like, "Are you crazy?" Because I had just had my daughter; she was a few months old.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna start my side hustle too. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I got it. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. I am a phenomenal woman. Like this is what I do, you know.
Yes, thank you.
So, yeah, of course, of course. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Farah, for taking the time to, be here with me, be in community with me, and I enjoyed learning more about you. I mean, you're really extraordinary, and I'm very inspired by you. I'm not gonna like go be a nurse, but you know, um, I can't stand the sight of blood. So I can't do it. But, I'm inspired to do more and to continue to believe in my own greatness. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And you inspire me with all the stuff that you're doing. And thank you for this platform
Of
and
course.
like uplifting other women, ambitious women. And thank you for all you do and always looking fabulous because, we got to step up our
Mm.
game in
Thank you,
2025,
darling.
you know.
Thank you.
So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Always so much fun and such a
Yes,
pleasure.
likewise. Thank you so much, Dr. Farah. We'll see you next time. And everyone, I want to thank you so much for watching the season 2 of Too Ambitious. Next week, I'll be back with another incredible woman. And if you do want to be a guest on this show, drop me a DM. Like I'm here, like keep it real with me. And also, too, sponsors. You want to be a sponsor of this show? Come on. what a better place to connect with amazing women who are doing amazing things. Yes, hit me up, DM me. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. And we will see you when? Next week. Yes. Okay.